Hey there, welcome to saas.unbound podcast. I'm your host, Nadeina, head of growth at Saas Group, serial acquirer buying wonderful SaaS businesses to take them to the next level. And here I chat with inspiring founders and experts to get an inside scoop on how they made their business success. So today with me is Henrik, co-founder and CEO at Neuroflash, an all-in-one AI solution that supports your idea generation, content creation, and optimization. Welcome to the show.
Hey Anna, thanks. Glad to be here.
Well, glad that you're here. I mean, we met last year, right? And
Yeah,
I'm really curious what you've been up to with Neuroflash. But yeah, before we get there, maybe let's start with your background, how you got to do what you're doing.
yeah, sure. So I'm 32 years old from Frankfurt in Germany. I'm builder at heart. So I've doing startups. I've been doing startups since my 8th grade in school. So I started out with website for my classmates, published some homeworks on there and pictures of some school trips and put on some first Google banners there. So basically since the school, I was very fascinated by digital marketing, website building, and entrepreneurship. So I started before I started an agency, marketing agency. Then I had enough of let's say services and wanted to market my own product. Started Be Wooden. It's a sustainable fashion brand, all handcrafted wooden accessories you can imagine, from jewelry to wooden bow ties. So let's say very undigital and not really innovative. But I did that for 5 years. We scaled it across Europe via our own e-commerce channels. Retail stores were also partners. And then I left this company because I was really motivated to do something more with innovation, with technology, and with software, actually, because my mom, she has a software business since now, I think, 35 years. And, growing up with a mom who has a really, let's say, the good side of the software business, very profitable, very, recurring revenues, etc., I was very somehow, motivated to also get into the SaaS business. And yeah, so I've like what we're doing with Neuroflash. I met one of my co-founders today at a conference, and he talked about this papers he was reading. Like, he has a PhD in neuroscience, and their paper showed that that you can, with like word-to-vec models, you can predict what people will think and feel when they read certain words. So this was like way ahead of ChatGPT. Maybe it was 2017, 2018. And at that time, Jonathan was his name. He used this technology for bigger brands to help them on marketing research questions, brand strategy questions. And I said, hey, let's maybe look for a SaaS use case out of this technology, because it was more a managed service consulting business. So get along with him and a few others, and we validated lots of ideas within SaaS ideas. And I think 2 years before ChatGPT, when GPT-2, GPT-3 came out, we were one of the first ones in Germany to basically launch a very, let's say, generic text generator. And that was basically the kick off of Neuroflash. So since then, yeah, the growth was very, very rapidly until ChatGPT came. It's like a curse and a blessing somehow for us. But yeah, that's how basically I got to Neuroflash. So maybe, long story short, I really felt the problems of our customers today before on my own, because I was a marketer before. I hated to write content. My German grades were not really that good. And on the other hand, I was very fascinated by the technology. And yeah, I was the best timing, I guess. Found a technology with which I can solve my own problems.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, three things from here. First, now I want to know what mom's business is and maybe interview her.
Yeah, it's really it's she's doing something in the pharmaceutical industry, basically offering different pharma data, pricing data in a really innovative platform. Yeah, it's funny. Like, some people tell me, my parents, they don't even understand what LLMs are and what AI will do with us. But my mom actually already built an AI co-pilot, and she's also above 60. So it's really Fascinating.
We've got to get her here. That's really inspiring. Second, just to your point that you were solving your problem and you hated to write content. I love it. I absolutely love to write copy, blog posts, whatever. And sometimes, for me, ChatGPT, is a friend and a foe because yeah, sometimes it helps you like research and brainstorm and stuff. But I think I have this day marked in my calendar as like the worst day of my career is when, I kind of, I was talking to ChatGPT and I was kind of prompting it. And at some point I was like, okay, well, that's good enough. And I thought about like using what it produced as is without like real editing. And then it was like, no, 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 no. Like, this is a slippery slope. Once you kind of allow yourself to do this once, then, the research and the brainstorming, it's just like, it's getting less and less. And then you're just like, write me a copy.
Mhm.
And that's it. But I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, the third is because you mentioned that ChatGPT for you also was kind of a blessing and a curse. So can you tell me like in what way? And I think maybe you too, guys, but I've heard like a lot of people kind of battling with this idea of using some text generators and different kind of content creation AI tools, because like why would I do it if there is basically chat gpt?
Mhm.
So yeah, how did
Yeah.
you overcome this?
Yeah, so maybe a bit more about Neuroflash. So we started out with a generic text generator without like any strong focus on a use case. So we acquired at that time with like a PLG go-to-market motion. We acquired really from students to professors to um, entrepreneurs, big brands, everything, right? So we had like a very, very diverse and broad audience. And also lots of price sensitive users. And we then started, especially with the launch of ChatGPT. I mean, we always anticipated that text generation will become a commodity at some point. We always thought that it will be basically for free. The first year we really did some fine tuning with GPT-3 and we optimized the output for the German language. That gave us like the first core value proposition in the German market. And with this, we grew from, we're not sharing the numbers officially, but we grew like, I haven't seen it before. And then, ChatGPT came on the market, 3.5, which was much, much better in German as well. So we had to find other triggers and other value proposition in our product to keep, to keep our customers and also have this value proposition that they actually do an upgrade. And we basically followed the route of specialization and vertically. So we're now building a product really for professional marketing teams, which still may use ChatGPT as a site, but they have much more requirements. For example, brand language, brand voice guidelines they have to take into consideration when creating content. Some like legal or writing rules within a company. They want to collaborate with their team. They have different review processes internally, especially in Germany. There's GDPR going on and very aware around data privacy. So all those kind of things are. We feel like even if those users use ChatGPT, they still feel the pain point that the content there is too generic. And here we come in basically. So that's you have a brand hub at Neuroflash. You give in your URL, and we're analyzing your brand voice, brand strategy, and then the content which we're generating is much more relevant for you as a brand. And then on the second hand, and that's where our unique own technology comes in. We're also able to predict how good this content will be perceived in your audience. So I strongly believe that the content creation process in general will change. So before you ideated, brainstormed ideas, you created content for it, you published it, looked at the KPIs and numbers, and then you iterated and maybe did an A/B test and so on. But a lots of advertising budgets and time pass by. So in our case, we believe that while you're creating content, you have on the right side, you have your audience at your right hand while you're creating content for them. And you're basically asking them real-time questions or getting, scores back. How good is this content? How emotional, etc. So this kind of prediction technology, this is very unique. We built over the past 5 years, which we're also adding on top of the interface, which is optimized for marketers and so on. But still, as you mentioned, lots of people question us as well. Hey, what really differentiates the ChatGPT? So it's really a challenge, I would say, in our communication and messaging, and also product strategy to, make this more obvious. And it's definitely takes time. We're working on it more and more. But yeah, those are like the key points I mentioned.
Yeah, awesome. And do you use Neuroflash for Neuroflash? Like, is your content written by Neuroflash?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
edit
So
it?
yeah, so I would lie if I say I don't use ChatGPT,
Mm.
because as you mentioned, like for quick research or for other kind of organizational things or reflections or something like non-really marketing related use cases, we use also ChatGPT. But for our own marketing, we use our own software. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And I feel like when we got access to ChatGPT, it was kind of, in a way sold to the general public, but also perceived by general public as, this magic pill where you basically, yes, say, write me a copy, and it is supposed to like understand you and write this beautiful copy. But I think a lot of people got disappointed when it wasn't actually happening, right? And there wasn't like a brand voice, or like, it wasn't really the quality that they wanted. So I feel like at some point, and not everybody, realized that this is just a tool, and just like any other tool, you have to learn it and you have to understand how it works, and you have to play with it and experiment. So in terms of Neuroflash, do you do some kind of like onboarding flow or some kind of like education for your customers to make sure that they get to the point where they know how it works and they can actually use all the things that you just described?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the LLMs are becoming better and better, right? But I still would say prompting is the key leverage for you to get better output out of LLMs. And we see this across, any kind of email content lead catcher we're building. How to prompt is like always has the highest engagement. So, actually there's a new job title, prompt engineer, so we're trying to help our users to first understand what this technology actually is, because as you mentioned, lots of people think that ChatGPT is AI, and then it's like you really have to transparently and explain it on a very easy level what they actually do, how they work, are the limitations, which you have to anticipate also while using them, and so on. So we are hosting, I think since the start of Neuroflash, we're hosting once per week an onboarding webinar, live session with all the people who are interested. We are building up lots of help center articles, videos. We have our own academy where people can go through different courses and have like a very structured learning path. And I actually believe this is also having this content in German also helps us a lot in the German speaking era to, just build up the trust and be like not only a tool which is unreachable, but which is very helping. And also there are humans behind it, right? So we're trying also to always have real humans there and not any AI avatars or something who are explaining something. And yeah, so I think this is key to explain and help our users, because yeah, the technology is very new and changes a lot how we should think about it and how to work with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are still very prominent mostly in German speaking market, right? Like, I mean, behind you there is OMR reviews badge, and yeah, I think are you like the second best tool in Germany or something this year?
Yeah, right. So this has been like one of my pain points. Like we have quite a lot of international traffic. So we
Mm.
used to have 500,000 website visitors per month, and I would say 60-70% of them were not from German-speaking areas, but somehow we were not able to convert them into paying customers. So this is like still on my bucket list. So that's why, as a startup, limited resources, you always think then, okay, on what you focus. So currently still the focus on the German-speaking areas. And I think one of the key factors why we also why those countries perform the best is that our brand awareness is here very high. We started out of here, Hamburg. We have lots of early influencers and thought leaders who were pushing us at the start. Plus OMR, as you mentioned, yeah, we are. Last year we were the best tool in all Germany. Now we're the second best tool. Yeah, so I think we have a strong community here in Germany.
Mm. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So, just to refer to something that you said in the previous answer, a lot of people still think that ChatGPT is AI, and that's kind of really funny. But what are other like misconceptions about AI that you cannot wrap your head around?
Yeah, I think one thing which is really disturbing me sometimes is if you believe you don't have to read over the text which AI created for you, especially when you want to share it with somebody else, or if it's, I don't know, a summary of a meeting, and you just share it and you believe that the person who you're sending it to will understand it and will actually get something out of it. So I think this really using AI also for those human interactions, maybe within leadership or within a team collaboration setting, I think we really have to watch out there that it's not like, hey, you asked me for feedback and here's my summary, and it's like just asking ChatGPT and you just share it, So yeah, this sometimes happens in your life. So that's I don't like that.
Yeah, there still should be a human output. All right, and yeah, another kind of question to add to that one, right? So you're using Euroflash, and all of your customers do. So how do you like? What is the best case scenario in a way for the use case for the Neuroflash? Like me, like okay, let's take me as an example. Like I've never actually used it, uh but yeah, if I was going there, like what would be the flow that you would anticipate from me? Like how would be the best way to engage with Neuroflash?
Yeah, so I always say to new customers is that you have to set it up for you. So as I mentioned, we have this brand hub. So, before starting right away with creating content, I mean, you can do that, but Neoflash should learn first who you are, who you are as a brand, how you want to communicate, who your audiences are, so that we're able to actually generate much more precise and personalized content for you. So really, and we see this for most of the users, especially within the self-serve, only X% are actually creating a brand voice at the beginning, So it's and then leading them to a maybe first aha moment, which is not that great as they would have created a brand voice for them. So you would set up everything about yourself, upload a few informations, your writing style guide, etc. And then I think it's also one thing we're thinking about currently. There are different ways how you can create content with Neuroflash. So either way, you're a prompt expert and you know how to prompt, then we basically have a free input field where you can just say what you want, including like all the brand voice, et cetera, in the back. Or we do have text templates and content types, so where you don't have to think about prompting. This is still the most used feature actually. So we see that just by having templates out there and helping the user not to prompt is already a great value for them. And we have those so-called workflows. You, they are going into an AI agent direction where we do more complex tasks for you in an automated way. So having this understanding, what kind of feature you want to use, and based on what kind of AI proficiency you have, I think this is also crucial to get started with Neuroflash very quickly. Yeah.
All right. And just again, to add to that, is there a way to collaborate and also to maybe not curate, what is the word I'm looking for? Kind of approve the content that somebody is creating there?
Yeah, so collaboration workspace for your teams is definitely there. The review process is something we're building currently in there. Also, like the real-time feedback and so on. So it's not there yet, but we definitely see Neuroflash as like a collaborative experience because bigger teams are now getting onboarded, so they also require that. Yeah.
Right. I'm just asking because just yesterday I had Ilya, the founder of Team GPT, on the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like why they basically created the tool, is to collaborate. And also, I've got requests from, I don't know, I think 4 at this moment, tools that do exactly that. They allow you to send approvals over somebody else's work, over somebody else's content, which is AI generated. And I don't know, apparently that's kind of what people want, in a way, because they want to kind of mass adopt AI in their like marketing departments. And yeah, that's just interesting how how it all evolves, because for me, and that's again what we discussed with Ilya yesterday, for me it still remains as a very kind of like private tool, maybe also by the nature of what I do, but yeah, probably for teams that are bigger, maybe that makes sense. Like, what is your hypothesis here?
Yeah, I mean, if you look into the use case and in maybe marketing teams over 10 employees, you want to collaborate on certain campaigns. You have one campaign strategy, but then you have multiple assets. You have many different social media channels. Even if you have a multi-brand strategy, you still want to maybe keep certain guidelines on one brand and think about all the different brands in other countries, like, so there's like, could become quite complex.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly in this direction we want to guide, because what we currently see as, you have to imagine we are coming from like an AI first starting point. So what I mean with that is we built the whole platform, like the editor, document system, um, like we built all from scratch, right? Within like very short amount of time. And while we're adding all the AI features, now if you look at maybe more established player within the content creation field, like, I don't know, HubSpot, Ahrefs within SEO, et cetera, they already had the whole platform before, and now they're adding smaller AI features. So it's just the other way around. And the question, I think, long term is, how will you make your platform more sticky, and how can you increase the lock-in factor for your users so they actually stay within you? Right now, I still see that the AI features within Age, I think they have quite a few good features on a keyword research level, but they don't have a good, let's say, content creator for SEO articles, for example. But here we're very strong, and we strongly believe that at the end, a marketer doesn't want to have hundreds of tools. Best is if he logs into one tool, or best the whole team, and is basically guided and helped from end to end. So from brand strategy, what my consumers are about, towards what are the content ideas which help me to reach this goal and the strategy, and then automate my content creation, collaboration, review. Maybe the head of marketing has a certain process in place, want to review if
Mm-hmm.
it's good enough or not, and then publish directly on the channels. And that's actually our vision, that we're building this all-in-one tool which unifies the strengths in each of the steps, unifies the strengths of the AI behind it, whether it's content generation, prediction of performance, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. All right. And the ICP for you guys, is it like, who are you selling to? Is it other SaaS? Is it agencies? Is it...
So we're industry agnostic currently. We're still, seeing some industries are having a higher adoption, higher tickets, but
Mhm.
it's basically right now it's really marketing teams within SMEs. So we have a few enterprise clients, but the core is still medium-sized teams, medium-sized companies, and they are the marketing communications department. And mostly businesses which need content to sell their products or to
Mhm.
grow. So where, of course, digital communications is an essential role in their growth strategy.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, I mean, everyone in marketing kind of wants to adopt it and wants to be AI driven. Or, oh, yesterday again we had this, I don't know if we created this term, or it was there before, but AI supported. I guess that's my case. I'm not AI driven, but definitely AI supported. And yeah, in this kind of AI driven marketing, what do you think is the most underrated skill?
I think really have this sense for automation potential. And like
Hmm.
what I mean with this, like having the mindset that you're open to the automation and, learning by doing, just starting with it, but also seeing other and new opportunities which nobody else maybe have seen, or where you combine things. Like I give you one example. I think the whole how we can recycle content and make out of maybe one content piece something else changes dramatically with AI, right? So I wrote you, I think, before in LinkedIn, we could make, like with Opus Clip, which is a tool which transform a long form video content into short social media pieces, right? We could take the whole transcript of this webinar, of this podcast, and transform it in probably 2 or 3 really rich information articles, transform it in a few social media posts. Um, and we are doing that, for example, with all our sales calls. We're transcribing them for coaching purposes. And also like doing all the emails follow up as a summary, so that the salesperson can really focus in the call on the lead. But what we're also doing is we're taking, we have a tool which identifies pain points, key questions, etc. And based on that, we are researching and brainstorming long tail keywords for our SEO strategy to really have like this in-depth consumer insights and persona data. And from there, we're building basically new blog posts, right? So having this mindset and the ideas, how can you combine different things and also at the end automate with Zapier Make? I think this is the first step, this understanding, and then you can leverage AI even more because yeah, boy. Okay.
All right. Yeah, thank you. That makes great sense. And because you mentioned long tail keywords, and yeah, I mean, now, since all that storm with AI search and prompts and everything, I'm always curious: do people still optimize for SEO, or do they now optimize for AI? And today I had a call with my colleague from one of our brands, Pre-Render, and he kind of introduced me to this term, answer engine optimization. So, are you guys kind of moving on to optimizing for prompts for AI, for ChatGPT, Perplexity, and whatnot? Or, Ahrefs and the normal people SEO is still okay?
I actually listened to a few of your podcasts where you had a few topics around the SEO
Oh,
within
good.
Gen
Okay.
AI and LLM. So um, we started to optimize our content for it a bit, but like one side is like the customer side. Here we really like we say, okay, they see maybe under 1 or 2% of their search traffic coming from ChatGPT, so they don't invest in at least that's what we see. They don't really are interested in a solution yet there, right? I think that's also what we see on our website. I think we have a tool which may has a higher, like the audience using those tools like Perplexity may search around topics around us more, than others. But still, yeah, we started to optimize, but to be honest, we haven't like changed our SEO strategy dramatically since then. Maybe we should do it. I'm still processing the conversations you had in the podcast, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm still processing that. Like I'm actively searching for some like ultimate truth around this, because it's also for me it's a bit of a black box. So here I'm taking the Jason Fried approach, where we will sit back and watch while everybody else is searching, and
Yeah.
and then we'll do something.
But what I think what is also in terms of SEO or in terms of the whole LLM awareness thing is that I think brands will soon also think about how can they increase the brand awareness in those LLMs, right? It's not only about SEO, it's somehow very much connected. And I saw already tools which I think one is called share of LLM or something. So they give you basically statistics on how within a certain category, how big your market share is in answers on different LLMs, right? So at the end, it is a new channel, right, for marketers, which is highly dependent on your past PR brand activities, probably. But still, it's maybe there are some low-hanging fruits there you can exploit as a startup marketer.
Maybe. I mean, to that point, I just had recently an interview with the founders of Utterly AI,
Oh yeah,
who
I
are
contacted
actually.
them right after the podcast to
Ah,
see if
good.
they have an API.
Wonderful. There is also PKI. I mean, we are kind of trying to explore different ways to first see what's going on, but then also try and figure out what we can do with that information, because I think that's also a very big piece of solving that puzzle. All right, so I also wanted to ask you, because you were talking about like all the things, all the kind of content pieces that you're doing and education for your customers. Like, where is the biggest growth coming from right now?
It's actually our product, let's say it's motion. So as mentioned, we grew at the beginning a lot with self-serve product-led growth motion. So really frictionless onboarding, freemium plan, sign up here, put your credit card in, good to go. But then as within our product specialization and also really focusing more around our ICP, more the professional audiences, bigger corporations, we saw that they definitely need a human in the loop in the sales process and purchasing process. So we built up a sales team now since a few months, and yeah, we're doing lots of things around inbound lead enrichment, qualification, automation, and now starting with cold outbound to really reach the audiences which may even haven't heard about us yet, because we're more, the brand is more known within, let's say, an SME prosumer character.
Okay,
So
all
yeah,
right.
it's still, of course, not that fast. So we just started 4 months ago, but this is our biggest bet on the biggest growth lever in the next months.
All right. So, if you kind of look at everything that you guys did, all the experience, the way, the product developed, if you were to do it like now, start from scratch again, would you do anything differently?
I would build our tech infrastructure and architecture from the start much more professional and in a more scalable and modal way. So it's basically one of our weaknesses. I would say we hired a CTO last year, so way too late, and beforehand we didn't really have a coherent technical leadership in our product. And you can imagine we have a lots of code debt, etc., around, which makes us now a bit more, which slower. And I feel like, especially within the AI market, the speed is crazy. So if you can't keep up with the speed, which I think we can't currently, there are players, especially well-funded players from US and so on, which, can just ship features much faster than we do. You just have to find different angles. But, of course, I would like to be this person who, or this company who ships also very fast. So I think this I would do differently. And I think the other one is maybe think globally right from the start. So I still don't know if we would have been better now, more customers, if we would have thought English first, And now we have like a structure. We have our website. We have in 6 different languages. We have 3 different interface languages in the app, which just adds lots of maintenance work for us. So maybe launching more with an international mindset, I would do differently.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've asked that question quite a bit here on the podcast. Like, was it a smart idea to niche down to a certain smaller market, or was it a smart idea to go after, global market right away? And really, it depends so much and differs so much. So like,
I think it depends a little bit on the maturity of the market, because right now we started out like it was a completely new market, right? New technology, content generation, nobody knew about it. There were no other tools beforehand. So
right.
everybody worldwide was looking and searching for a solution within the space. But whereas when you're like maybe entering a very saturated market, maybe you start out really with a niche focus, could become better. But I just see some of our competitors launch like globally right from the start. And I think they build up this brand awareness we're having now in Germany. They just build up internationally because they surfed the wave globally at the beginning, right? And we just surfed the wave in the German-speaking areas.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, like you said, maybe it's just also the fact that you were a tad too early, maybe even with that AI wave. So I don't know. But then,
Right.
yeah, we'll never know probably. But I also wanted to ask you because again, something really interesting, and maybe a bit less relevant for you guys, but like for all the AI companies popping up, especially those, so-called rappers. On the one hand, you want to say like, okay, if you're solving this little problem, everything it takes to kind of wipe you off the face of the earth is for ChatGPT to kind of build that feature, or any other like big AI company. So, what do you think is actually the biggest threat for AI companies now?
What we see is at the end, distribution is key. Depends a little bit also on your like your market you want to sell into. ChatGPT is just like now this very generic solution for basically everybody. Depends a bit on your positioning, but what we see is, for example, Microsoft and Google. They are also, entering the space since a few months now. And when we talk now to really bigger corporations, which we would really like to have as our customers, they just say, well, we have those long-term contracts with Microsoft, and we just bought Copilot licenses. And it's not that perfect for us in marketing, but before now going to IT and procurement, we will just keep on working with that. So like this having this foot in the door and this distribution network, I think is really crucial as well now, especially in a market where people may have problems to differentiate between the solutions. So you just take the solution which is the closest to you, basically, right? That's one. And the second one, which is I think a few years ahead of us, but it's a bit what you see now is like the whole AI agent thing. So are software interfaces as we do currently have still needed in the future? That's still an unanswered question. So now we're building this interface where people can set up their brand voice, etc. But maybe in 5 years you just put in your URL and it does everything for you automatically. So the threat here, I guess, is jumping not too late on a new wave, and balancing like this your business and the customers who are probably very late to the party. They don't understand agents, and it's far away from mass adoption. But I think you have to reinvent yourself, and the speed to build startups within AI is just got much faster.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what do you think is kind of the next big thing in AI content generation?
I see, and that's actually something we're working on. Don't want to brag that it's going to be the next big thing, but I think what it will change in that sense. So we see within marketing research this whole discussion around silicon subjects. It was a paper coming out a few months ago which proved that LLMs can predict opinion and behavior of humans at a very high accuracy level of 85%. So basically what it means is that a consumer insights professional or market research professional may just ask an LLM and some special features around it versus paying a lot of money and holding a consumer panel with real humans, right? It's long, it takes a lot of time, it's costly. Why not just building up your consumer twins, your all AI audiences, and asking them the questions and helping and getting help on certain decisions you want to do. So having this on the one hand, that you can predict what content will do with certain people, on the other hand, have the maximum creativity and efficiency of AI, creating lots of different variants and different versions of your text, you can really make content creation very objective. So you can just run different variants with the audience and let the statistics basically tell you what will work the best. And I think this is one, especially within the agency and brand world, content creation is a very subjective thing. And in marketing, it doesn't matter so much how you like your text, but it matters how much your audience likes the text, right? And it's also pretty hard for marketers to actually think like your audience because maybe you're not your own audience, right? So I think having this feedback loop with your subject, like silicon audience, I think will also change how we create content.
Okay. All right. We should do it again next year then,
I
see how
hope
much of it is true.
I hope next yeah, okay. So the feature will hopefully come out very soon. We're working on our speed. But yeah,
Okay.
let's definitely talk about it in a year again.
Sure. Awesome. All right. I just have a couple more questions. The usuals here. Super cool. I think what you're doing is really interesting, and I feel like you really understand what you're building it for, and you're using it yourself. What do you think has been so far the biggest win, the biggest failure?
So I think the biggest win is, despite like really this exhaustion of building something within the AI world and like FOMO all the way, that we were able to grow that fast and still being profitable since now more than a year. So I think I see lots of competition, which raise a lot of money, but and also proving that you can build a sustainable business out of it. It's not, of course, we're still small and so on. And it's not super profitable, but I think having achieved this is definitely a win. And a failure, I think it's something I mentioned earlier, is like really investing into a proper architecture and infrastructure, um, especially within the AI segment. I think you have to adapt your product so fast and you have to build the underlying basis for this to be able to do it. And I think we started too late with that. And that's why it makes us now a bit slower.
Okay. Oh, I think this is so important that you mentioned, just the constant FOMO and the constant kind of chasing of this rapid development of AI. I think this is like such a hard work that founders have to do now that that are in the AI space. I feel like we should do like a webinar just for AI founders on mental health and
Definitely, I
this
think
is
the
tough.
first before ChatGPT came on the market, it was pretty tough for me, I would say. And since a few months after ChatGPT, it got a bit less, to be honest, because I saw so many new launches, but our business kept on working and growing. So it's yeah, I'm somehow getting used to it now and try to not read too much. use.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe that's a good hack. But talking about hacks, the last question is always about a hack, and maybe work aside, maybe you have some hack about personal use of AI in your daily work.
I'm like a journal type of guy, so I'm trying to reflect a lot. I'm very structured and planning guy, so I always sit down on Sunday to plan my week ahead and reflect on a few questions, what happened last week and so on. And for this, I'm using ChatGPT as like a reflection brainstorm partner, even sometimes in the car. So I really like the voice mode because you're actually talking to somebody and it's just a different feeling. And it gives me often questions back, which help me to, I don't know, solve a problem or just, get to some new ideas. So using it as a sparings partner, I think was quite helpful for me so far.
Are you doing anything in terms of like automating your workflow?
On a private level, not so much. It's more there. I'm setting some triggers for me. Like, I don't know, if I have a project or if I want to research something, like I always say, okay, let's just put it in deep research in ChatGPT. And I open up a few tabs and then like the whole thing I want to do in the week is already somehow prepared. And then when I have the time, I block like really strict calendar blocks. And then, I go back to the deep research and I start off at like maybe 70, 60%. And in terms of automations, I'm currently testing a lot of those meeting transcription tools and then doing some automations behind that. But other than that, I tried out ChatGPT Task, but somehow I didn't really find it useful so far. Oh, and I'm trying a tool currently, which is connected to my Gmail workspace. And as soon as an email comes in, it recognizes what kind of email it is. It puts in the labels. Like, is it a
Is it
notification?
Fixer?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's actually sending or drafting me a reply on the email, and I must say the quality is quite good. It's even proposing calendar invite, like different meeting. I'm not sure if I will jump on the paid plan yet because, to be honest, like luckily I don't write too many emails. It's mostly Slack messages with a team, and I don't have too much emails, so it didn't feel like a big productivity booster yet for me. But I was very amazed how relevant the emails were. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very
Have you
cool tool.
have you tested it
I'm
as
using
well?
it too. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you're using
yeah.
it. Okay.
Yes, I'm
Nice.
using
Nice.
it. And yeah, and just to your point of note takers, the one that I'm in love with, and our founder Tim Schumacher even invested in it, and I'm not recommended it because of it, but because it's really like so cool. It's called Jamie, and it's also German. And yeah, it's just it does not pop up in your meeting. Like that's the biggest annoyance for me. Like Anna's
Hmm.
note taker is entering, and I'm like, no,
Today I
hate
had a
it.
meeting actually, and the person was too late, and his note taker was already joining, my note taker
Yeah,
as well, and I was sitting there with two note takers and waiting for the real human. That was funny.
yeah, absolutely. I find it completely unnerving. So like this thing doesn't pop up; it's just kind of there on the background, and then it does a great job. So maybe try to
Hmm.
check it out.
Yeah, we'll do.
But
Thanks.
yeah, sure. Thank you so much for, for the conversation. I mean, it's I think last year when we met, we didn't have such an in-depth discussion of what you guys are doing, so it's really cool to kind of get more of an overview. But yeah, it's a deal. We're doing it again next year. See where you're at with your next feature. But yeah, so far, great having you here.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Thanks for the invitation. See you
Absolutely.
next year.
Anytime. Yes. And take care.